Hi, I'm James McGuire, and on today's eSpeaks, we're talking about how the combination of low-code software and generative AI will dramatically change the process of software development, probably in some pretty unpredictable ways. To discuss that, I'm joined by Jithin Bhasker, General Manager and Vice President for the App Engine business at ServiceNow. Jithin, very good to have you with us today.
Thank you, James. Great to be here.
You know, I've got some insightful questions about generative AI and software development. I know I'd like to get a sense, the short sense of what ServiceNow does. Of course, many people know it. It's an extremely well-known company. But for those who aren't as familiar with ServiceNow, can you give us kind of the 10 to 15 second version of what the company does?
Absolutely. Well, ServiceNow is the market leader in enterprise workflows. And the way you can think about it is we cover the entire spectrum of an enterprise company, all the way from your front office, which could be customer service management, to mid office, which could be anything to do with the global business services, and the back office, which also includes finance and supply chain. In summary, we kind of cover the whole spectrum of customer service, IT, finance and supply chain, and also we have an amazing platform called ServiceNow Platform, which is the one which I lead and own at the moment, and which is the product called App Engine.
Sounds like the kind of job that would keep you busy, to be sure. All right, so low code and generative AI, that is a really big deal this year. Obviously, ever since ChatGPT came on the scene last November, seems like generative AI is the only thing that people are talking about. What sort of trends are driving these two technologies here in late 2023? What do you see out there in the field?
Yes, for sure. I know it's a big buzzword in the market in terms of generative AI. There is a powerful combination between the generative AI and the low-code technologies, and I'll kind of take a step back and give you a little background in terms of how those two are emerging, right? So, some of the challenges and the trends we see in the market, which is actually going to accelerate the adoption of these two technologies together, is number one, there is a never-ending backlog of requests for IT to be able to build a new application, automate something, or build me a new dashboard or analytics or any of those that you can think of. And often what happens is that IT has a certain limited set of, skilled, talented engineers and developers, but above and beyond, finding the people who have certain skill set in different platforms and tool sets, it's also extremely difficult. As an example, there are 400,000 jobs to be created into the software development world over the next 10 years or so. And we have a huge shortage of the number of people who are really skilled in kind of ramping up into the curve of that role, the skill set, and all of it together. So what fundamentally the combination of two is where there's a huge dependency on talent, huge dependency on those talent actually knowing these specific platforms and tools and the technologies. And at the same time, there is an immense amount of this whole digitization and digital transformation, creating a ton of backlog for IT on a consistent basis. According to economists, the research says, on an average, most of the companies have 6 to 12 months of a backlog in terms of the request, which is actually coming through. That's where the combination of generative AI and the low code truly enables the whole enterprise company. You're talking about team members who could be a part of marketing, sales, HR, or business system, business analyst kind of a group who has now the ability to be able to build on certain local platform, which could then effectively reduce the need for IT to be in between. So effectively, the way this whole technology is going to evolve is generative AI will reduce the barrier for anyone to be able to start to build a certain automation or an application. And then, the way it will work is when you write a simple English statement which says, build me a marketing events tracker, the generative AI technologies, especially on our platform, which we are, launching a variety of capabilities like text to code, text to flow, text to app is coming in the future. More or less, this technology will write 80% of that application or automation for you. Now, the last 20% or the last mile is where you're really customizing. Now, you don't want to code, you don't want to script. You need to have certain easy to, I would say, configure, click and drag and drop, and that's where the low-code platform really comes together. So that's what makes it really powerful, the combination of ability to build something quick, then build it, the final touches of the last 20% with the low-code technologies, which will help you actually deliver some of these automations fast.
Interesting. It seems like it relates to this big mega trend in the industry, which is the idea of democratizing access, and that there's probably some mid-level sales rep out there who can handle a low-code application, low-code software application with the help of generative AI. So you may not even need an expert developer to create this if you have a low-code software building system and generative AI, correct?
Absolutely, yeah. And we see hundreds of use cases which our customers are starting to build, all the way from marketing to, you're even talking about doctors in the forefront of the patients actually starting to really innovate on things like how can I get certain insights about certain discussion I had with the patient to be able to fully accessible across my team of a team in the hospital or in my clinic, where how can I actually put a workflow together. We see some of these really amazing innovations being built by customer. Doesn't matter what your skill set is. It could be you've never had a technical degree or a background, or you had some sort of an inclination about the technology, like a business analyst probably. We are enabling all of those spectrum, where low skill to mid skill to high skill personas, and to be able to automate and build applications on the platform.
Well, with that in mind, I have to wonder, maybe there's some young man or woman out there who's thinking, they're college age, and thinking, well, I'm going to go into software development. And then they look out at the market and they realize, oh, generative AI is writing a lot of the code. Gosh, I shouldn't even become a software developer. And yet you're talking about a shortage of developers. So how do you reconcile these two concepts?
Yeah, I would say the generative AI has actually created a new demand for a new set of highly skilled, talented engineers, which you could think about, there is a brand new role which is emerging in the market called prompt engineers, effectively, right? Yep. Where you really need to, and it's a very unique kind of a thinking you need to apply. It's not only technology kind of a understanding you need to have, but you also need to really think through from the actual user or the industry or the actual customer in terms of what they intended to be. Because a lot often this technology is, right, generative AI is all about how do you accurately infer or understand the intent of what that English statement or a prompt could look like. And it's a very different skill set altogether. That's one set of high demand, which we start to see emerging in the market. The second one is like, all of this works on language models, which are actually powering up all of these technologies in the front end. Effectively, you need to have a lot of highly skilled data scientists and engineers who could effectively look at all these language models, continue to refine and fine tune so that it delivers you highly accurate responses and output. The word hallucination has become a lot more popular nowadays. And how do you reduce the hallucination of some of these models through this fine tuning and refining these models? These are some of the roles which existed in a minor way in organizations as a data scientist probably in the past, but now that has become mainstream. So if you're someone going into computer science right now, you can definitely think about this highly advanced roles, which is growing tremendously in the market. Every company is looking for someone who could effectively fine-tune the models. And the fundamental demand of this fine-tuning also comes from the fact that you have a lot of open source models which exist in the market, but more than that, the best accurate responses you get when you have real custom built LLMs, within the use cases of the industry or the customer base you're serving. As an example, ServiceNow is fully investing in building our own custom LLMs so that our customers can take advantage of high accuracy rates in terms of the response they receive versus connecting with a lot of alternate open source models in the market.
Interesting. Well, all right. So there's a lot of possibility for generative AI and low code, no doubt about it. But there's also some challenges involved. I mean, everything doesn't go great. So what do you see as some of the challenges? I mean, compliance, bias, lack of skills. What's holding it back, or what are some inherent difficulties?
Yeah, I think, the industry has spoken a lot and enough about the biases, which we need to really consider within the models. Well, I will not touch upon the topic because there's a lot of literature out there. But
Sure.
one topic which is really close to my heart while I'm, leading this whole product strategy from a low code and how do we integrate the generative AI within is what we are now doing is we are unleashing this highly powerful capability of the combination of low code and the generative AI together for now anyone like the sales member example you spoke about earlier. Anyone can now build any of those applications on this platform. Now, the actual value of embracing an enterprise grade platform like a ServiceNow could be is it's built in a way that you can get the right controls and governance in terms of who can access what data, even though it is leveraged through generative AI, but at the same time, be able to make sure that before you publish, it goes through certain security checks,
Mhm.
privacy check, data checks, and all of it, so that you manage it as a stream of work through a
Mhm.
value stream so that you have the right governance and controls and guardrails put in together. So our local platform, especially the App Engine, we call it App Engine Management Center, effectively is built with the notion that you have the ability to fully control who's building what and what kind of a data access you need to have. And at some point of time, you need to manage the life cycle of that application or automation which you've built. Would you like to maintain it, retire it? All of those could be easily taken care through this value stream thinking, which we have applied across through our platform at the moment through something called App Engine Management Center. So going back to your challenge, what you said, fundamentally, I feel this is a technology we are unleashing to anybody in the enterprise, in the companies. So you need to have the right guardrails and controls and governance in place so that it's not an app sprawl. You don't have a data, I would say, distribution issue or a control issue fundamentally from a privacy point of view.
Mhm. It feels like a company will obviously very much need that guardrail process. That's not going to be optional. They will need that. It seems like these generative AI and low code software, they offer this whole possibilities, but now we do need this additional sort of personal or company infrastructure in place, the guardrail process. So it does set up maybe some more staffers, some more concerns, maybe some more worries for the company that this is so easy to create, as you're saying.
That's right. I think that's where I think it's very important that while generative AI is a technology every company want to embrace and get started with, at the same time making sure you're building that on the right platforms in the market with the right guardrails and controls in place so that you're not only enabling the velocity of how many people can actually build application, but at the same time, you as a CIO who has a peace of mind in making sure that this is all managed as a centrally through something like an App Engine Management Center, which I actually explained about earlier. So it's the
Right.
right platform, along with the enabling the generative AI on top of it, would make wonder in terms of you not only enable velocity, but at the same time you have the right controls on the other side.
Mhm. Well, let's drill down to what exactly ServiceNow is doing to serve this market. You've talked about it certainly, but let's make sure we cover that. How is ServiceNow serving this market?
Yeah, we've been investing in generative AI technologies for the last many years. And if you go back and look at the history of acquisitions we have done, this isn't a buzzword we just caught like a year back. It's been an
Hmm.
investment. We've been consistently acquiring this highly advanced AI-focused companies in many, many years. And not only that, like it's been laser focused on all the way from, I would say, we introduced our virtual agent capability in ITSM a number of years back, which was already powered with a certain amount of intelligent automation and intelligence at the back end through a variety of these models which we spoke about. But as we speak, we already have capabilities like a text to code. Text to code is very focused on high-skilled developer who's building on a ServiceNow platform, where you can simply write English statement on your IDE, and more or less our text to code generative AI capability will build a whole lines of scripts and code for you.
Mm-hmm.
So effectively, almost your 2x or 3x faster in terms of being able to build on our ServiceNow platform. So text to code is something, which we have launched at the market. We have a lot of customers really excited today about it. In addition to it, we have also added a number of capabilities from case summarization for if you're a customer service agent who is in the forefront serving your customer. You have the ability to provide our generative AI capabilities will provide the agent with a case summary of what the last few discussions they have had or their team had with the customer, so that they have a quick snapshot view. In the past, they have to scroll through all the case notes, all of those different interactions and engagements, and get to that core of it. But in a matter of seconds, our case summarization capability, which comes with ITSM or CSM, which actually helps the agent to get that summary level information in a matter of few seconds. We also have a number of other capabilities like next best action. You're building a workflow or a process flow on our platform. Effectively, our generative AI will automatically recommend or suggest, I see that you built a certain type of a action. Now, here are the few other actions which we recommend you add on. As an example, I received an incident from my IT network or the infrastructure. Now, I want to be able to automatically notify someone on the development or IT side as and when the cases actually land. So we've added a number of these capabilities, like all the way from a virtual agent to case summarization to next best action to text to code, which has been phenomenal in terms of some of the creativity our users have been applying. We have a lot more coming in the future, and we are going to continuously release it like a monthly or a quarterly basis going forward, all the way from text to app to text to process. We have a number of those coming in terms of our innovations very shortly. It's an investment we are heavily making to be able to actually truly deliver that enterprise grade generative AI capabilities for our customers.
Mm-hmm. So clearly there's a lot going on, and there's really a lot going on throughout the industry, which creates the question, where is it all going? The future of generative AI and low code in particular, certainly it's going to have a big impact. I mean, if we have this conversation in, 2025, 2026, what will we be talking about then? Where is this going, say, 2-3 years out?
Yeah, great question, James. I was reading a prediction or a research report by IDC. According to them, by 2025, 750 million new apps will be built using low-code technologies.
750 million.
Correct. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And in addition to it, the many other research which also shows almost 75% of those applications will be built using low-code platforms and technology.
Yep.
Now, add generative AI in the mix of the combination of low-code and generative AI. My hunch is it's going to at least double in terms of the efficiency and the velocity these teams are going to gain, because as I was saying at the beginning of the call, you've reduced the barrier tremendously for you to actually, from an idea to a build to a product to publishing it in the actual production, has shortened so much. Because in the past, when you have to start building an application, you need to think about what the design would look like, which is still relevant. You need to have a certain amount of the idea of design, but then you need to think about how you actually set up the system, architecture, infra. All of those components need to come together for you to be able to. So you're reducing all of the time when you have a low-code platform, which is powered with things like a text-to-flow or a text-to-code or a text-to-app in the future, where you will be able to build an app with the speed of your imagination. In few minutes, 80%, almost 80% of the app will be built right in front of you by the generative AI capabilities with platforms like ServiceNow App Engine and low-code tools. Now, the rest 20%, you want to fine-tune the color of the UI, or you want to integrate, or you want to add a new form or a field, or you want to change the header. All of those could be now easily done using this highly configurable low-code platforms in the beginning. So 80% would be done by generative AI in a few minutes. That'll be really fast. The rest is where you really want to refine and polish the actual experience. So my hunch or my prediction is the number, whatever they have predicted, will double, because you made it so easy for anyone to be able to start building applications and automations now.
That is really amazing. Doubling that 750 million figure. And I love your phrase, building an app at the speed of imagination. I think it's one of the better phrases that I've heard recently. I can't top that one. Jithin, I think you said it. I've learned a ton. It is going to be a fascinating sector to follow in the years ahead. Thanks so much for sharing your insight today, and please come back and talk with us again sometime.
It's been a pleasure. I loved your questions, James.